reflecting that as well. And Tyler Orton is with us, talk more business news. And we want to begin with the inflation numbers just were released.
Yeah, we're seeing a decline in February compared with the month before. And a lot of this has to do with differences in the consumer prices that we're paying. Now, if we take a look at the numbers, I'll break it down and kind of spell out what this really means. Now, in February, consumer prices rose at a rate of 1.4%. Now, compare that to the previous month when they actually went up about 2% nationally. But in British Columbia last month, they went up 1.6%. Compare that to the previous month when they went up 2.3%. That was the biggest gain that it had in more than 4 years. So prices are falling down again in British Columbia, far more than they were to start off the year. So the core index, this strips away all those volatile numbers. We're talking about food prices, gasoline prices. If we took all that away, then we'd be where the Bank of Canada's real target is, which is about 2%. We'd be at 1.9%. So what is, causing all this kind of commotion when it comes to consumer prices? Look at gasoline prices. If you go to the pump, they're going for 13.1% less than they were a year ago. This is in the month of February. Clothing and footwear, especially women's clothing, that went down in February as well. Food, that's a big factor. We had fresh vegetable prices. They shot up 26% in the month of January. It's not nearly that high of a rate in February. Food still went up 3.9% last month. So we're seeing a lot of volatility here with these kinds of prices, and it's being felt at the stores when people are going out and shopping as well.
Now, Tyler, I mentioned just before the break that if you're living in Yaletown, the International Village, you may have a very unique job. This is kind of a funny story.
Well, it's interesting. When you think of kind of like the artsy places where maybe striving songwriters are living in Vancouver, you think maybe Commercial Drive or something like that.
Sure.
But in fact, the Society of Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers, they tracked where all the royalty checks that they're paying out to their members are going. In fact, most of them are going to neighborhoods like Yaletown, International Village, northeastern part of downtown as well, which includes Gastown. So what happened here is that they took a look at where all these royalty checks are going, and they found that area or postal codes with a prefix of V6B. That's apparently where all these kind of middle-class musicians and songwriters are living. That's where they're sending the royalty checks to. They took away members like the big superstars, like, say, Carly Rae Jepsen's or the Chad Krogers of Metro Vancouver. And so they narrowed it down to these middle-class workers. A lot of this has to do with film and television. A lot of these film and TV composers, apparently they like living in Yaletown or International Village. So the focus here is on these kind of middle-class workers, which is an interesting way to break down where the money's going for songwriters here in Canada.
So the middle class, not the 1 in a million that sold a million.
Exactly. It's just the average kind of songwriter who's still bringing in money and without kind of being maybe that struggling artist that you're more likely to find in, say, Commercial Drive or something.
Cool. Very interesting story. Okay, good. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend, Steve.